Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Salmons, and in each episode we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Eryka Parker, founder of Legacy Book Coaching and Consulting. Eryka works with authors and entrepreneurs to help them turn ideas into published books, and more importantly, into platforms that can create impact and opportunity. Her work goes beyond writing, focusing on helping people share their stories, build authority, and leave a lasting legacy. Eryka, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Yes, thanks, Olivia. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here, and I'm very much excited to dive in and learn a little bit more about your journey. So, Eryka, with all of my guests, I do actually like to start at the beginning. So if you don't mind briefly taking me back to what it was you was doing before you started up Legacy Book Coaching and Consulting, and then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
So when I started off as a very avid reader. I love to read. I've been reading, my entire life. And I would always read these stories and wonder, what about the errors, right? The errors that were in those stories were kind of interrupting the flow. So I started reaching out to some of the local freelance publishing companies and saying, hey, I think I know a little bit about editing because I'm catching these grammatical errors and some of the structure and flow is off. Would you mind if I join your team as a freelance author or, a freelance editor? And they said, sure, come along. And I joined, and the rest is history. I started working with clients on my own, and it branched into an entire business.
I love that. And I think, obviously, I think that most people hopefully read read a lot of books in their life.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever sat down and gone, I wonder how this has been edited, or I wonder that obviously the sequence that people go through when they're even writing a book. So that's obviously,
Right.
he was made to do that. The fact that you're
Yeah.
picking up on those nuances and those little individual things very much plays into your skills in your warehouse, which is pretty cool. And did you ever think that you'd become an entrepreneur or have your own business off the back of it? Or did that just naturally develop, obviously, as your journey did alongside it?
Yes, great question. I actually was on the corporate track. So I went and got my bachelor's in business, got my master's in business, and was really thinking I was going to climb the corporate ladder and just have this great career as an executive. And once I got into it and became a mother, I found that it was challenging to be able to balance my needs as being a mom as well as being successful in my career. And I found that entrepreneurship gave me that balance I needed to be able to, you know, um, work when I needed to work, if it was around the clock, if it was in the middle of the night, but making sure that I had the balance that I needed in order to satisfy my clients. So that's how I ended up becoming an entrepreneur, an unlikely entrepreneur, I say.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's obviously one of the best things about becoming an entrepreneur. You get to have that nice synergy between your life outside of work and obviously work. I don't believe in a work-life balance. So the fact that you've managed to build, as you say, working in the night and maybe helping your kids during the day or vice versa, it's nice that you're able to do that and have your career alongside your family. That's a really beautiful aspect coming into it. So let's
Thanks.
dive into the company a little bit more, just so the listeners can have some context moving forward. So, Eryka, at this point when it does come to legacy book coaching and consulting, who would you say is your ideal client? Who is it that you very, very much love to work with the most? And then from there, how is it you help them and how would you support them along their own journey?
Okay. Well, I think that the clients that I love working with most are going to be the people who have the most to gain from reaching out to their audience and expanding their reach through books. A lot of the times we design, these products and services and they meet these needs, but we can only reach a certain point. We can only, whether it's marketing ads or whether it's collaborations and networking. But books have a further reach because it allows you to connect with people that would never have crossed your path or met you. So, what I like to do is work with people who have a message, who have been through some things and had a unique approach to solving problems or, venturing through a certain life's obstacle and being able to help them create a polished book that will connect with their audience in a significant way. But when it comes to business owners, we have so many skills, we're subject matter experts, but when we put a book out there, it allows us to be able to provide those books to our clients as well as be able to have a reach to get more clients. These are people that are avid readers or that are turning to books to solve their problems. And then they're saying, wow, this person is really knowledgeable. Let me go to their website or their Instagram to learn more about who they are. So it's a great way to connect with people and to spread your brand out there.
100%, I couldn't agree more. And even having a bigger impact, like in the current day, I suppose, than ever, because obviously with the rise in digital marketing, and then obviously AI coming into play as well, there's no better trust that you can get from somebody than obviously listening to the words they put on paper, listening to their voice, resonating with their story and who they are as a person. I think it's a great way,
Yes.
a great form, like a great form of media to very much lean into to build
Mhm.
that trust with strangers. So
Absolutely.
so that's a really cool impact. So what is it like to work with you then, Erica? Like how is it you kind of pull those stories from them and get them on a paper? What is your style and your, I suppose, yeah, just what is it like to work with you?
Okay, well, our business model is high touch. So it's high touch, it's service based, and it's really a full cycle type of arrangement that we have because what happens is when you go to publish a book, there's so many pieces and moving parts. You have no idea. There's about 150 steps from the time that you finish your novel or your book or your manuscript or your a lot of the times with business owners, we have the how-to guides, we have the manuals, right? So from the time that you finish that and branch off to getting it published or pitching it to an agent to see if you can get a traditional book deal, there's so many pieces and parts that have to be just so for you to be able to present yourself in that way where you are professional and you are someone that they would want to partner with. So I help you with connecting those dots, helping you know what you don't know so that you're able to don't have to keep coming back and circling back to me and saying, hey, I got this done. Now what's next? I create a full cycle process where from start to finish, I don't overwhelm you with all the steps, but I let you know, hey, you may want to plan ahead and schedule this photo shoot to get your headshot. You want to reserve your ISBNs to be able to have your barcodes and all of that. Or you may want to, if you're self publishing and if you are traditionally publishing and looking for some type of hybrid situation, let's work on your book proposal, your query letter. Let's get a list of literary agents. So that process in itself is very overwhelming. So I try to, through the book coaching training that I've had, as well as the 20 years of experience, see ahead to some of those potential detours and help you with getting a plan that's going to be sustainable for you.
Yeah, I love that. As you say, kind of creating a very clear roadmap for them, but not giving them those overwhelming steps that I feel like naturally might come with writing a book. It's very much easier said, process than done. So I love the fact that you are, as you say, we can focus on this section and then plan a little bit ahead, but we will cross that bridge when we get to it. Let's just be
Yeah.
aware before we are there, which is a really cool aspect. And naturally, as you say, you're very much in the trenches with them, holding them accountable throughout the journey. And just, I hope, as you say, building more of a partnership with them then it is just more of like a coaching and mentor situation. So that's pretty cool stuff. Um,
Yes. Yes.
and one thing I'm very curious to find out, because actually it is a very, very busy, noisy world at the moment. So how do you go about acquiring your customers? Like in terms of channels or methods, like what are you finding most effective at the moment, Erica, and just finding those right people to work with?
Yes. So right now, my strongest channels are partnerships, live teaching. I do a lot of webinars and workshops, referrals. My clients are 60% likely to refer me either with someone that they know very closely, a colleague, or just repeat business. And then just trust based content. I've built the business by showing up as an educator first through those workshops, speaking engagements, and strategic visibility, which shortens the sales cycle and it just causes people to understand my expertise before they even inquire by having the information on my website, testimonials. And then just from a sales standpoint, I do use solution-based packages that are going to meet people at different stages. So some need developmental editing support, some
Okay.
may need a publishing strategy, and some may need help with just preparing professional materials like query letters and book proposals. So those are have helped me to be able to have a contact with those that need me the most.
Yeah, awesome stuff. So as you say, like getting a little bit of glimpse of what it's like to work with you is a really cool approach. And naturally, if you have referrals coming in, it just to show kudos to the work you are doing with your current clients, and you can just obviously keep building on that. But as you say, webinars, speaking, again, I think I mentioned at the start, just hearing somebody's voice and the way they speak kind of very much builds that trust and recognition with people, which is what you need to do online. So really pushing that aspect, I think, is really cool stuff. And do you utilize any other like form of social media, I suppose, just to increase your ecosystem, or as you say, so they get a glimpse of like of what it's like to work with you and a little bit about your world as well?
Yes. So social media, I do post pretty frequently when I have an
Cool.
event coming up because my audience is going to want to attend the events that I speak at. I don't speak in normally speak or advertise speaking at events that they wouldn't find value in. So I make
100%.
sure that I collaborate with people that are providing the resources that they need to get their books out there. So those types of conferences, they're always going to find value in that. But
Yeah.
the goal is just to show you who I am as a human being to make sure that we can have a great connection. So things like personality assessments to see how our personalities will mesh, the type of coaching that you receive best. So based on this type of personality assessment and what it's shown me, you like to have someone to hold you accountable. So a zero excuses approach might be the best way to coach you. Some people are more sensitive and they need things broken down a little bit easily so that they're able to digest it in smaller pieces. So the personality assessments have been a great addition to
Yeah.
my working relationship with clients.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. I can really imagine because I'm assuming naturally it has to be a good fit on both sides. You can't be the right fit for everybody in that kind of situation. So I love the fact that you are t obviously taking your time to make sure you can understand your clients as well. As you say, let's get a little
Yes,
bit of a match of a personality so I can help you in the best way possible, which is a really cool.
absolutely.
And oh, do you run any form of ads or anything on social media maybe to build like a little bit more consistency or drive numbers to that webinar? Or is it more just so, as you say, authentic, putting your voice out there in a more organic way, just so those people can find you and see what it's like?
It's more organic. I do
Nice. Okay.
rely on heavily on referrals, and that normally is the way that I'm able to sustain my business. But I do like to partner with existing platforms. So if you have an editing platform, so you have Professional Editors Network, and you have all of these different organizations where editors can come together, I'll have a listing on there.
Cool.
There's also the Black Editors and Proofreaders Network, so I have a listing there as well. So those are all places that where people are looking to, hey, I have this book that I'm looking to shape the voice culturally, where I'm able to connect with my audience and authentically without having it edited out. You write the colloquialisms that my industry may use, making sure that those remain intact and having someone that's a subject matter expert that can edit your book without taking out your voice, keeping the authenticity. So
Yeah.
people that are looking specifically for that can find me in various networks.
Love that. So as you say, just putting yourself in those right positions and right places so you are best suited for those referrals coming in, which is pretty cool. And leaning into the knowledge the whole way through, like the way he's describing it, which is, I think, so important when you are showing off what you're doing. There's nothing more important than people resonating with that work so they can come back to you at that point, which is really cool stuff. And I suppose with all that being said, Erica, like what are your, I suppose, visions or ambitions for the company moving forward? When you think of maybe the next 6 to 12 months ahead, like what are those targets or those milestones that you're looking forward to achieving?
Yes. So it's always great, of course, to think forward, right? So I appreciate you asking me that question. The major goal is just to evolve from a primarily service-based model into a hybrid model where
Okay.
premium consulting is going to remain at the core, but it's supported by scalable offers like self-paced resources, frameworks, templates, and guided learning experiences. That's going to give us more capacity to create better entry points for clients at different budgets and help writers become more self-sufficient before they step into higher level support. So learning how to self-edit, learning how to seek out the resources, getting a budget for publishing, all of those things are important because the goal is not to break even, it's to make a profit. So providing them with resources of how to realistically see how much is this going to cost me and how do I get to a point where I'm being profitable as an author.
Yeah, I love that. It kind of ties into what you said earlier as well. Ties into what you said earlier as well about like kind of shortening that sales cycle a little bit because they are getting a taste of what it's like to work with you. May get help on some things they're looking for at that moment, but then when they're ready to take those next steps, you're going to be the first person they're thinking of, because they've already seen what it's like to work with you, have a little bit of a taste of what Erica can do for you. So just moving on to that next step and building up to the one-to-one is a really cool aspect. And actually on your time as well, it must help a lot with the capacity because I'm imagining it's not an easy ride writing a book for somebody, so it must take a little bit of your time as well. So that's just an added bonus on your end of that. And I suppose where are you probably
Absolutely.
finding the biggest challenge for yourself at the moment in taking those next steps and achieving that goal?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question. I think probably some of those bigger challenges are the first one is the AI authenticity issue, as we are impacted from. One of the biggest challenges is just navigating right now, just how clients, helping them understand the difference between using AI as a supportive tool versus outsourcing their voice to it. I'm seeing more people are submitting work that's AI generated. And the real issue isn't just quality, it's more about credibility. So if your
Yeah.
book is supposed to represent you, your expertise, your story, your voice, your legacy, it can't sound generic or disconnected from your actual voice. So part of my work is just educating clients on how to use AI responsibly and not compromising their authenticity. The other thing is scaling without losing the premium personalized experience. So just making sure that it's a deeply personal experience. Book coaching, developmentally editing is highly customized, and clients often need emotional support and strategic guidance and accountability. So just making sure that I have that personal touch there is key for me.
Yeah.
And then there's a few more, but for time's sake, we'll keep it at those two.
Always good stuff. I imagine, and obviously as a founder as well, challenges pop up all over the place. So it's like, how do we kind of navigate our way through them? But I think they're two
Yes.
very valid ones. As I see a lot of marketing done through AI at the moment, and it's exactly the same process. It's like, yes, you can do it through them, but you are going to lose your authenticity and just sound like everybody else. We need to kind of let people utilize AI in the right ways. I don't think it's ever going to be replacing people. So as you say, it's how can we best educate them on the best way to do it for what suits them and obviously what they're looking
Yes.
to do. So that's one area I obviously didn't take in consideration as a challenge either. And I think naturally most founders do struggle on that point of how do we keep this business the way that I want it to feel, that boutique style, that like one-to-one presence, but still obviously have that impact and growth that you're looking for. It is that fine line that you have to balance as an entrepreneur sometimes, but just making sure that you are putting your clients first. I think it's probably the best way to go about it, just moving forward.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Eryka, I have one final question to ask you. So, if you could go back in time to a younger self and you could only leave yourself with one piece of advice moving forward, something you know now, but that you didn't know back then, what would you say to yourself?
If you do what you love, it never feels like work. This does not feel like work to me. Helping people find their voice, helping people expand their market and their reach and their impact is not work. It's the best thing that I could ever do for myself as well as others. Because if you've gone through it, that challenge, and you've been successful and you now have education that you can give to others, we're trying to get it to as many people as possible. And publishing can help you do that more so than public speaking, more so than any other platform. Publishing and books are going to help you in a tremendous way.
I could not agree more. And it's tangible compared to speaking. You do it once and it's kind of out of the way a little bit. You haven't got to get there every 10 minutes. But I really cool. That's really lovely. And Eryka, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out best to work with you or connect with you if they would like to do so?
At Erica Speaks on Instagram or legacybookcoaching.com.
Beautiful stuff. And thank you again, Eryka. I really appreciate your time today. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to go and check out Eryka. As you just said, drop her a message on LinkedIn, check out the website. I'm sure she would love to hear from everybody. And do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from zero to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing and we will see you on the next one.